If I could ask you all to, if you could all turn off your mics so we get better sound quality, apart from Marcel, of course. Let me ring this up. This one, okay. All right. I've got the right one this week, I hope, right?
Yes.
Okay, over to you, Marcel. I made a mistake last week. I sent the wrong file to the Philippines. So.
No worries, no worries. Can you hear me?
I can hear, yep.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so I'll start this reading, but I'll ask everyone to start connecting and elevating our thoughts, just so we can continue on with the prayer right after this. Each one. Now, there's a diversity of gifts, but the Spirit is the same. This is in Paul, the 1 Corinthians 12:4.
Good morning.
Good morning. In every place and situation, each one of us can display divine qualities for the edification of all those who are part of our lives.
Oops,
Learning.
sorry. There we go. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, sorry.
Learning and teaching are ongoing tasks in which we can take part in increasing the common treasure of wisdom and love. Those who administer can express fairness and magnanimity more often. Those who obey can have more ample resources for demonstrating a job well done. The wealthy, better than anyone else, can do more work and share its blessings. The poor have more latitude to cultivate the wealth of hope and dignity. The strong can more easily be benevolent at any time. The weak can be humble on an occasion without embarrassment. The learned can help everybody with the expensive knowledge, hence renewing the general thought for the good. Learners, with their many opportunities, can always distribute the wealth of goodwill. The healthy can practice charity far and wide. The sick can more convincingly teach lessons of patience all around. Thus, the gifts may be different. Intelligence may be characterized by various levels. Worthiness displays various qualities, and ability is the result of effort, but the divine spirit that sustains everyone is substantially the same. All of us can accomplish much in our particular station in life. Take a good look at your position and attend to the imperatives of the infinite good. Place above all your own, and the divine will make use of you. Emmanuel. So this goes to represent that we're all different, that we all have our own talents, we all have our own gifts, right? But also we are in different places, in different cultures, in different stage of our evolution, intellectually and morally, but we all have the opportunities to use what we have, what we know. Someone asked me a few years ago and said, you know what, I don't understand religion. I don't see much purpose in my life. I don't know my mission. And I didn't have a good answer for that person. And I said, look at what you feel, and try to make that feeling grow towards the good. Try to avoid fears. Try to avoid things that doesn't make you feel good. In this case, this person could not have children, but she was an amazing babysitter, and she went on, I really like what I do. So transfer the love that you have onto the things that you are capable of doing well, right? So I think that's pretty much the lesson today is push away the fears, try to concentrate on what you can do well at the moment, at the place, and where you are in your stage, wherever that might be. And with that, I want to ask us to elevate our thoughts and thank God for the opportunities that we've been having, not only during this life, but so many thousands of lives that we had before. Only with the little knowledge that we have lived thousands of lives before, it is a purpose for us to feel thankful and happy, because today we are the best version we've ever been of ourselves. May the learnings of today during this study be well received, but we may also consider the spirits that assist us during this study. They've been preparing our homes, they've been preparing the teachings the entire week, and we are assisted by them with love and care. So be it.
So be it.
So be it.
So be it. Yeah, thank you, Marcelo. Very nice, very nice. And it's that passage also really, I think, brings us to the topic of today, which is trying to understand why certain people are born with so many different attributes. And we're going to find out more about that as we proceed in chapter 1. Let me just start off with, let me share here. Okay. So I thought we'd start off with a little sort of, just a quick review. We're in part 1 of Genesis, and it's about the character of the Spiritist revelation. If you recall, the first item was a list of questions that Kardec posed, really to set the scene and get us thinking. And we had a very good brainstorming where we tried to answer the questions. And of course, in the subsequent items in the chapter, Kardec gives us the real answers. But I think it was a really good discussion and got us all thinking. Item 2 was the definition of revelation, which is, again, if I recall, it's in the Latin, which to reveal, to take away the veil, to bring something that was previously unknown, make it known. And one of the characteristics that Kardec talks a lot about, and we had a good discussion on this, is the character of the revelation and truth. But, you know, we came to the conclusion, I think, that there's no absolute truth. It's always a relative truth, relative to what our senses at the time tell us, our knowledge tells us. So again, truth is never really absolute, but it's always relative to our knowledge and information that we receive at the time. And then in item 4, he talked about teachers who he calls second order revelators. So right, they don't bring anything new, but they pass on information that they've learned to their students who are ignorant of this information. And then we finished last week on chapter 5, geniuses. And unlike, you know, teachers who are second order, geniuses are the original revelators. They bring the information that's not been known, comes from higher sources, and these are geniuses. And really, with the transcendental, yeah, there's basically their transcendental faculties and innate knowledge that they're born with, and they're born just like the rest of us in in the flesh, but they have these faculties and the innate knowledge that it's embedded in that incarnate spirit. So from a materialist point of view, you know, are these people born with more, you know, cerebral quantity or quality in the brain? Or from a spiritualist point of view, it's just this particular genius has a more highly endowed soul. That would be contrary to God's laws, right? We're all, God in his guidance is impartial, totally impartial. So through these arguments, Kardec comes to the only rational solution is the pre-existences of the soul and multiple existences. What I like to do is just actually share just a few movies on, not a few movies, but let me go on to YouTube, if I can find YouTube here. How do I get to YouTube? Bear with me a second here. I'm going to have to escape out of that. Oh dear, I can't remember how to do this. Anybody can help me? I want to get stop share. How do I get to my main? Okay, I can't seem to pull up my other menu here. Let me go. Ah, there we go. All right. Bear with me, I'm getting closer. All right. So
David, that might be on a sharing panel. There might be a checkbox that
let me go.
Gives you the option to share the audio.
Yeah. I found what I want to share. Now I need to get back to my, let me get back into Zoom. And then, oh my gosh, let me go back to full screen. And then share. Why isn't it coming up? Share screen. No, I still can't get it. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, well. Anyway, again, what I wanted to show you, just if you go onto YouTube and child prodigies, there is amazing.
The link, maybe I can share for you.
Can you do it? Can you help me, Nicholas? Is Nicole? Who's saying that?
The links and I can share for you.
All right, see if you can find it, because I seem to, I make you a co-host, right? See if you can just go onto YouTube and, I don't know why I can't do that. Actually, I think I got it now.
I search.
Carla, share muted.
David, what can I search on YouTube?
Just child prodigies. Child prodigies. And even put child prodigies piano. You know, there's like 5 or 6 year olds playing. I think you have to put share sound as well at the bottom. Oh boy, I've lost everybody now. There you go.
Are you seeing my screen?
Yep. I think also you've got to share the sound. There's on the Zoom's menu.
I am sharing. Yes. Just tell me which one you want to share.
I can't see the one I was. Carry on down. Let's look at that first one. Amazing 3-year-old. Let's look at that one. Just to go back up again. Sorry, back up. This first one. Yeah, just try that.
E, G, F sharp, F, C sharp, D, B, G, A flat, C, E, D, F, D, E, G, D, C, B, D, C sharp, A, D,
think you get the idea, but just have another search to see. I think there are some that show, 5, 6-year-old playing Mozart, and you can find one there. Don't see any ones that I've seen. Your Google search is different.
That is Liban. Liban, 5-year-old kid.
There you go.
Pianoist kid. Liban.
Yeah, so try that.
His name is Liban.
This one?
Yes, it's top one. Yes, that one. No, top left there.
Get the right one?
Let's see.
Loki, você foi acusado de escapar da sua linha temporal.
And of course, it's in Portuguese.
And we got the adverts. Can we skip the adverts? There we go. Going about a minute, just go further on, just go starts playing. There we go. Unfortunately, the image is not coming across too good, but well, I think that gives us the idea, right? So let's stop there. Thanks for helping me out there, Nicole. Okay.
Anytime.
All right,
Just
so
back.
let me just get out of here. All right, let's go back to, I think I found it now as well. Oh, well. Okay, so let me just move on here. We've got moving springs. So just to finalize before we move on to the next part, this was the last part of the chapter we read. And as Kardec says, before birth, let me just put full screen here. Before birth, they were already advanced spirits. They reincarnate either to enable others to benefit from what they know or to further acquire knowledge for themselves. Of course, human beings by themselves and through the efforts of their intelligence, but left to their own devices, such progress is very slow if they are not helped by more advanced individuals such as students and helped by their teachers. All cultures have had their geniuses who have come at various times to give them an impulse and draw out their inertia. So again, any other comments before we move on to the next part? I think it's so convincing that when you examine this topic, how you could not come to any other conclusion that we're all had our previous existences, and we bring with us what we've accrued, both intelligence and our moral intelligence, our knowledge and moral intelligence.
Well,
Okay.
it may bring out too that as we progress, we carry more and more of previous existences' knowledge with us instead of forgetting all the stuff when we reincarnate. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think it's more intelligence, because some of these, particularly look at, there's another one of these child prodigies who graduated from high school at 10 and finished college at 14, got his doctorate by the time he was 18. Again, it's not the knowledge they bring, but just the intelligence to acquire knowledge so quickly. So I think, the knowledge and intelligence are different things. And it's the intelligence that we bring rather than the actual knowledge. We're still born in the flesh without knowledge, but we have this ability to acquire knowledge at much faster pace because of our previous lives. And
That's a good question. That's a good question. Is it ability to acquire, or is it interesting?
Okay, so let's move on to number 6. So who would, John, would you like to read for us? Number 6,
Why
it's 2
not?
pages.
Why not? Since we believe in God's solicitude for God's creatures, why not believe that capable spirits, through their energy and the superiority of their knowledge, enable humankind to advance, incarnating at God's will in order to aid progress in a particular area, that they receive a mission much as ambassadors receive one from their sovereign. Such is the role of great geniuses. What do they come to do if not to teach people truths of which they are ignorant, and of which they would perhaps remain ignorant for a long time, in order to give them an impulse by which they may advance more rapidly? These geniuses, appearing down through the centuries like shining stars, leave behind them a long, luminous trail for mankind, are missionaries, or if you will, messiahs. Each new things they teach to humankind, whether of a physical or a philosophical order, are revelations. If God calls forth revelators to make their known scientific truth, God can, with all the more reason, call them forth to make known moral truths, which are one of the essential elements of progress. Such are the philosophers whose ideas have traversed the centuries.
Okay. So who would anybody like to make a comment on that? Jesse, got any thoughts?
Who are the revelators now? This today, Sunday, August, whatever, who are the revelators now?
So if you are looking for a celebrity, someone who's well known, but it's like this might be just my opinion, but the revelations is all over. It's all around us, even within this group, right? We are here for a purpose, and we've planned to come together to learn and grow, study this philosophy, this doctrine. And I think this is already in our plan before we decided to come here, right? So who are the revelators here, right? And are you part of the revelation? So are you starting to be a revelator? So I think the examples are all around us. I think for our nature, always tries to seek for a leader, right? We need to put someone in front of us to lead and idolize. So I think that's, I'm not sure if that's the right approach. I think the code is within us, right? Look for our own revelations.
And
My opinion.
yeah,
Anyone else make a comment?
Carlos is speaking,
Jesse?
but
Jesse, let
Carlos
Jesse.
was talking and was muted.
Jesse, I think.
yes. Now, I had a reflection also last week when we were talking about geniuses, and just teachers. I think we as spiritists are being groomed as geniuses because we are being taught the basic principles. We're not just following dogma like other what religions do. We are being taught to really analyze everything, to understand the underlying principles. So isn't that what the geniuses are supposed to do? To build on the basic principles. So I agree with what Marcella was saying. We had the code within us, and we are being shown the way by the previous geniuses on how to move forward. Because, like I said, as spiritists, we're supposed to understand the principles underlying our beliefs, like the scientific, the philosophical, and the moral principles, right? It's not just what I hear from you, I just repeat it to others, but I must understand what you're trying to say. So that's my view there. So I yield the floor to Carlos, who was speaking while on mute.
No, I'm just saying that if I follow the definition, when I take to the intellectual side, we recognize those are revelating science on a yearly basis. We have all the Nobel Prizes, et cetera, which are exponents, people that are unveiling scientific truth. The same time that we have all the psychographic books and even individuals incarnate on earth with high caliber morale that are generating content. And that this is going to be coming from the world of the first revelators. And then when we have the purpose of getting together to study and share, we come to the second category, because we end up teaching and learning reciprocally, right? It is a mutual learning process. So Kardec's terminology, whenever we are in the educational domain, we are second citizen revelator. Whenever we are really in the investigation research field, so that our perception of reality, our reading of reality is going to be unveiling the absolute truth that is going to be each time appearing and coming out through our effort, right? So this continues. It's not a matter of the 19th century or a matter of the antiquity with the philosophers, but it's an ongoing process. Right? We have the perception of relative truth whenever we place truth on our eyes, because our eyes change. So what is really relative is the process of discovering the truth, right?
And going back to
is more profound and broader, deeper, right?
And we also have, of course, the Nobel Prize for Peace as well, where, you know, certain individuals and geniuses have made a big contribution to humankind.
Yes. So Yvonne was raising her hand, David.
Okay, Yvonne, yes, please. Sorry.
Yes, John asked who are the revelators now, and I guess I think of the indigo children, or I think I call them crystal children as well, where they are geniuses. They're, you know, these young children are geniuses. So I think they are probably, you know, those are some that are on Earth right now. And I think I've also heard from people on this panel or elsewhere that there's a quickening of acceleration of our evolution. So maybe they are here to help us evolve also.
Kardec did make the point there that the geniuses either come to spread the knowledge, help others, but also to advance their own as well. So that covers
David?
that.
Yes, John is raising his hand.
Yes, John.
I think of the teachers in my life. Who have I learned stuff from? Yes, you got to learn yourself, but I think of whether it be parents, whether it be educators, the teachers were important people in my life that gave me background and examples that I could emulate. And it's, for me, a little sad to see in America how undervalued teachers are. I think teachers are revelators and have such an effect on our children, and how little value we place on our teachers. It makes me sad when I think of that, because when I think of my experiences, my teachers certainly come out as revelators to me, certainly come out as instrumental in helping my understanding. It would be nice to place much more value, much more prestige on just our teachers that help us contend with life, that help us understand how things work.
Very good. Okay, let's move on. Okay. So number 7. Luis, would you like to read for us?
In the special sense of religious faith, revelation applies more particularly to spiritual matters, which humans cannot know by themselves and which they cannot discover by means of their senses, the understanding of which is given to them by God or God's messengers, whether by direct word or inspiration. In this case, revelation is always given to qualified individuals designated as prophets or messiahs, that is, messengers or missionaries on a mission to transmit revelation to humankind. Considered from this point of view, revelation implies complete passivity. It is accepted without question, without examination, without argument.
So here I think Kardec is making the case that in the case of spiritual and religious matters, the relevators are a different category, right? And there's less. It's more of a transmitting a message rather than some other advancement in intelligence or otherwise.
And we're not allowed.
Sorry.
We're not allowed to question it. At this type of revelation, he's saying that you don't examine it, it is accepted without question, and you don't argue it. I mean, this type of revelation.
Right. Carlos, what do you think on that one?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Louis, what we don't question is the endorsement and it is the sentence about the revelation, because every revelation that came divinely were really debated, right? Were really questioned. Every apparition, whatever happened in religious term, before being a dogma or before being really dressed up by an institution, there was a huge debate, right? Some of them have even been killed because of this revelation, right? Joan d'Arc, and when you have some other voices or direct message being questioned, we Lourdes also in France. Now, when we dress up as a truth, and then it becomes unquestioned, right? After being really determined by a whole process, because the church itself, the traditional church, has a whole process, right? Be it wrong or not, but it may take years of discussion to come to the conclusion that that's going to be enacted and unquestionable, right?
I don't know.
John's got his finger
I
up there.
I don't know if I agree with his statement. In the special sense of religious faith, revelation applies more particularly to spiritual matters which humans cannot know by themselves and which they cannot discover by means of their senses. I don't know about that, because I remember in Spiritist literature saying, God has given us a sense of right and wrong, has given us. We have a spark in us that gives us a sense of right and wrong. So I don't know if I agree that humans cannot know them by themselves, something that must be given externally. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
this is
talking
stated from the point of view of the church. It's not stated from the point of view of Spiritism. That's why it's reading this way. Okay?
Well, it doesn't say from the church, though. It's kind of
It's saying from the religious point of view, right?
Yeah, I guess.
It means that a saint or a voice like Moses when he received the revelation, or the little native in Mexico when received the revelation of Guadalupe, or Santa Rosa de Lima when they received the revelation. Yeah, So in this case, it's more passive. It is one-way street that's being revealed, absorbed. These people, they say what they hear, what they saw. There is a whole discussion, and after that, it may be turned into an unquestionable matter. But that's the revelation he's making reference to.
Religious faith.
Yeah.
Marcelo, I think you raised your hand there.
I did. I just want to bring another context to this, because we usually think about prophets and messiahs and or revelators as like this icon in humanity. Like we have Buddha, we have Jesus, we have many prophets throughout history. But we also need to remember that the world population during that time was much smaller than we have today. Right? Just in when the 20th century, when Kardec was revealed the Spiritist Doctrine, we were just about 1.5 billion in population worldwide. Today, we are reaching 7.8 soon, right? So how many prophets should we have now? We've grown exponentially in the past 200 years, right? And so I think that that's going back to the point that how we've been evolving intellectually and morally in the past 200 years is at a much faster pace. Therefore, we should have, by the numbers, many revelators. And they don't have to be celebrities. They don't have to be well known. We have revelators around us, because we are in much greater numbers today.
And I think it also, from the mass you were talking about there, Marcelo, it's obvious that since the time of Kardec, all these new spirits that have been incarnated have come from other worlds, right? That's right. Such, how can you, where all these, they weren't here, it can't be just reincarnations from this planet to satisfy all the needs for new spirits in all the material bodies that are here now, the 7.8 billion that are on the planet Earth. So they're bringing other sources of information from other worlds. All right, should we move on with the next one? All right, so who would like to, anybody like to read for us?
Going
I'd like to volunteer someone.
Going twice.
I can do it. I can do it.
Okay, Marcelo, thank you.
All religions have had their revelators. And although they were far from having known the truth in its entirety, they had their providential reason for being, because they were appropriate for the time and environment in which they lived, and for the particular character of the people to whom they spoke and compared with whom they were relatively more highly evolved. In spite of errors contained in their doctrines, they nevertheless stir up people's mind, thereby sowing the seeds of progress that would sprout and grow later on, or will blossom someday under the sun of Christianity. It is therefore erroneous to hurl anathemas at them in the name of orthodoxy, for a day will come in which all such beliefs, so diverse in form, but which actually rest upon the same fundamental principle, God and immortality, of the soul will merge into great and vast unity once reason will have triumphed over prejudice.
You just finish this part as well. Next part.
Unfortunately, religions in all ages have been instruments of domination. The role of prophet has stirred up secondary ambitions, and we have seen multitudes of false revelators or messiahs emerge, who, thanks to the prestige of the label, have exploited people's credulity to satisfy their pride, greed, or indolence, finding it more convenient to live at the expense of their victims. The Christian religion itself has not been sheltered from such parasites. In this regard, we ask that serious attention be paid to chapter 21 of the Gospel according to Spiritism. There will be false Christs and false prophets.
Very interesting.
Wow. This is a real controversial statement, and we can see why Roman Catholicism would say Spiritism. Oh my God, that's pretty interesting statement. We should underline that. It is an interesting statement. Interesting.
Any other comments?
Is there any specific statement you would like to mention, John? Or
No,
highlight?
just this, yeah, that whole paragraph that we just read is what I will underline, because here, unfortunately, religions in all ages have been instruments of domination. Whew. The role of the prophet has stirred up secondary ambitions. Yes, it has. And we have seen multitudes of false revelators or messiahs emerge, thanks to the prestige of the label, have exploited people's credibility to satisfy their pride, greed, or indolence, finding it more convenient to live at the expense of their victims. The Christian religion itself has not been sheltered from such parasites. This is big stuff that you can see why they burned the books, right? Why they burned the books. Interesting.
Now I got what you said, controversy, right? Controversy here. Yeah, because I thought it was a point of discussion, but it's a point of strong statement, mainly for the time, right? People are not accustomed to say that. Okay.
Well, even now, it's a pretty strong statement. Even now.
Even now, if you say that in an Islamic country, that's a big. But you say that anywhere here in the U.S., and it's controversial.
Yes, you say it in the Vatican. Oh my God, it's wild.
You know, the other message he talks about there is that they may be not understood at the time, but it sees that discovery process and more understanding. So even though the actual prophet, Messiah, was burnt at the stake or whatever, the message was still delivered and fermented in the population and grew in understanding. All these, messiahs always came to the right place at the right time, depending on the culture and depending on the knowledge, to seed further understanding and growth. But it just often takes time. Very interesting, though. All right, let's move on.
Can I say something?
By all means.
About that. So he's mentioning about all religions, all one or another, and we still living in that time, because a day will come. So this is future, that all belief will rest upon the same fundamental principle. And the principle is that the reason will have triumph over prejudice. So he's talking about all religions and something that we'll see just in the future about this revelation, this coming together to understanding all together.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because he's talking about religion as an institution, right? He's not talking about religiosity, right? He's talking about all the body of ideas that are materialized in acts of faith, in sacraments, in rituals, and materiality also in temples and churches and in institutions solidified.
Yeah.
And that's why he's linking religion with power, because he says domination.
Yes, yes, I want to say that. Yeah, that is being used as an instrument of domination. Yeah.
Domination. So it is religion for the sake of fulfilling a political purpose of dominance, no matter where, in how, in what the time. Yeah.
John?
Doesn't it
If I may add.
seem that when people come together in groups, human beings, we set into play a system that builds some kind of craziness into the situation? I think no matter what, whether it's for religion, whether it's for politics, whether it's a condo association, or even a spiritual group that comes together for love and compassion, when people get together in groups and form an organization, it seems breeds some kind of dynamics that build in dissent, that build in controversy, that build in getting away from the original precepts that the organization came together for. It seems that way to me. What does it seem for the rest of you, no matter what? I mean, whether it's a church, as I said, a condo association or whatever, there seems to be a dynamics that breed in a human frailty or whatever you're going to call it, a dynamic not for the good.
Is there a good thing, a bad thing, or it's just part of the process, the evolution?
It seems
If
to
I may
be,
add.
are there organizations that come together just for the good, that pride, selfishness don't start to rear its head and become kind of a crazy thing? I don't know. It seems all have that frailty. A not-for-profit all of a sudden loses its direction and becomes now ego trip for the people. I don't know. It's interesting when humans come together. Maybe it's a human frailty.
Yeah, and this is the subject matter of a science, sociology, no matter the group. Right? We studied the forces that constitute that organization, right? And there is a dialectical process, right? Because we have different individuals that are trying to state their opinion as the thesis. There will be antithesis and there will be synthesis, right? But this is, you're right, no matter the nature of the group, maybe family, maybe social club, maybe condo association, maybe religious group, a political party, because that is the subject of a science, right?
Mm-hmm. And how the individual ego conflicts. The individual ego is what dominates, and we have to learn to temper our own individual ego and look at the collective whole.
Yvonne was raising her hand.
John, your point is well taken, but just to, I guess, mention that in the first paragraph, it mentions that in spite of errors contained in doctrines, I guess, they nevertheless stirred up people's minds. So the point being, even though we're not perfect. There might be nuggets of progress that people take away from that. So it helps us along the way.
Thank you.
Paul also raised his hand.
Yeah, Paul.
Yeah, yes. In the first sentence, all religions have their revelators. That it means that every belief or religion have maybe differ from one another in ideas and understanding, but it is necessary, for it is a foundation of truth, stages by stages, little by little, unveiling the truth for religion or a certain group of people, and that is necessary for progress. I think that's all.
So if I may add, it's actually the conflicts or the different point of views that when we start questioning others' beliefs, that the truth will come out. Because if we are all just in the same track of mind, then no one will ask a question, is that correct? So if there are differences of opinions, truth will most likely or is more likely to come out than if every one of us just follows a certain dogma.
Yes, they are all foundation of truth.
Well, what
I
about
love
those that have no truth in them? How does truth come out? Truth comes out outside of that group.
They're the false prophets, right? Which Kardec talks about, the false prophets.
Yeah, you take that group in Africa that drank the grape Kool-Aid. Progress there? Well, I guess there has to be. I mean, somehow it happened. I guess it was a good example for people to realize following someone and then committing suicide with grape Kool-Aid was maybe a great example for people to say, hey, wait a minute, that's crazy.
If I tie back the statement with Yvonne's statement, even what is considered false prophet or fake news, right? This is also one instrument for advancement of progress, because when we have the antithesis, we are stimulated to search for something else. So even the apparently point of phony production, fakeness, it is advancing progress somehow, because man is going to be rethinking and going deeper, and that serves as a foil, as a contract, so that the other part is going to be advancing. So that's why nothing in the universe is a waste. Nothing in the universe is purposeless, right? Sometimes you may have, even in the hand of a leader in any domain, the motive, the force of falsehood, but at this falsehood, at the same time, it is triggering another process opponent in discovering truth, right? That's the dynamics of the universe.
It also says here, notwithstanding the errors of their doctrines, at least awaken their minds. It says here.
Mm-hmm. It's an awakening process.
That's right. And it takes time, and it takes not only one life, right? Like Patricia was saying, right? Where it reads over here, a day will come which all such beliefs, so diverse in form, but which actually rest upon the same fundamental principle, God and the immortality of the soul, will merge into a great and vast unity once reason will have triumphed over prejudice. Right? So it is part of the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we can tie this to the preface of the gospel, because when he's going to be writing the gospel, he says that all religions, they have discussed many things about truth or about what is historical approach to Jesus' life or to any leader's life, but he was going to treat the gospel as purely morally, which is a domain that is not so much discussed, right? So a day will come that principal morals together with an eternal truth search, which is going to be linking the human being eternally to God, will prevail instead of protecting territories or protecting relative truth that may be used as a mechanism of domination.
Okay, let's move on to number 9. Nicole, would you like to read for us, please?
Are there direct revelations from God to humans? That is a question we would not dare answer either affirmatively or negatively in an absolute manner. There is nothing radically impossible about it, but there is nothing to prove it with certainty. What cannot be doubted, however, is that the spirits closest to God in perfection grasp God's thought and can transmit it. As for incarnate revelators, according to the hierarchical order to which they belong and the degree of their own personal erudition, they can draw their teaching from their own knowledge, or they can receive it from more highly evolved spirits, and even from messengers straight from God. The latter, speaking in God's name, might at times have been taken for God per se. These kinds of communications contain nothing strange to whomever is familiar with spirit phenomena and the way in which relations occur between incarnates and discarnates. Teachings may be transmitted in several different ways: through pure and simple inspiration, through the auditory word, or through the seeing of instructor spirits in visions and apparitions, whether in dreams or in the waking state, many examples of which may be seen in the Bible, the Gospels, and the sacred books of all cultures. Thus, it is strictly precise to say that most all revelators are inspired, hearing or seeing mediums, from which, however, it does not follow that all mediums are revelators, much less direct intermediaries, I don't know how to say that, from the divinity or its messengers. You are muted, David.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Nicole, would you like to make a comment on what you just read, or?
I think I'm
Later.
thinking about it.
Yeah, you were reading, I know, I shouldn't ask you that. Anyone else got any comments on that revelations direct from God? Are there revelators that can come direct from God?
I think that these last 5 paragraphs are incredibly wise. It is such wisdom that's in there. It's a remarkable stretch of information.
Yeah. Agreed.
They are saying something like this: we can pass on the word of God, but we always take this word from someone else. Like this guy said, someone else said, or Chico Xavier said, or I don't know. And the closest to God we are, less we need to rely on other words. For example, I can tell that by myself if I'm very close to God. And for us, we think, oh, this is God, because that spirit who is saying that, it's so close to it, and it doesn't need to rely on someone else.
Interesting.
I'd like to add a comment to that, if I may.
Please,
so it's like coming to participate in a conscious living spiritist group. I watched Susanna's talk one day, and she was saying that, talking about how I think we talked about this in previous weeks, talking about what Nicole just said. We're following what people say, we follow what people think, and we have some guidance. But when we begin studying like we're doing right now, we start rationalizing our faith. We start creating our own interpretation and own opinion collectively, right? It is dangerous to someone create an opinion on their own, right? And just create an interpretation and try to go with that. And but when we study as a group, we are rationalizing. We are we're asking questions. We are agreeing and disagreeing to the point that we all come to the sense of the essence what Kardec is trying to say. So I really like this method, and that what has given me the means to rise my consciousness about what God is and my purpose in its mission, right, in life. So.
And in this
Thank you,
Yes.
Marcelo.
yeah, in this paragraph, even if we use the methodology that Marcelo and Nicole have just pinpointed, there will be always the influence of intermediaries in the process of passing the truth. He started asking if we can have the direct access in how often direct message from God to us come, right? And then he said there is layers of intermediaries here. And because he's making reference to mediums, even though he says that pay attention, do not equate mediums to revelators. Right? All revelators of divinity, they are mediums, but not all mediums are revelators of the divinity, because these mediums, they may be blind somehow by other layers of spirit as well, right? And then we have process of fascination, obligation, because he's bringing the content from the medium's book. That's why he says most of them, they are audit mediums, seeing mediums. He's talking about inspirations and intuition, etc. Right? So in this process of discovering the truth, it is so important for us, even though we are together, we are exchanging idea, we are rationalizing, to keep the humbleness of not pretending to be the director, messenger of God. Like, because I'm doing that, I am accessing the higher eternal truth, right? There will be always a delivering process coming from. The nature of our purpose, the nature of our intention will bring the right channel. If we're doing for the sake of discovering together, enhancing our lives, cooperating, searching for eternity, chances are the avenue is different. If we are doing for the sake of speculation, it's going to be different. If you are using the group and then comes to John's position as a meaning of predominance of feeding ego needs, and then there will be a distortion, right? There will be some other shortcuts and not the main avenue to access the truth.
Very good. Very good. Okay, well, we're over our allotted time here. So,
oh, so fast.
Can
I ask, would anybody like to volunteer for the closing prayer? Nobody today. Okay.
I see many eyes saying yes, yes, yes.
All right, let me give the closing prayer and ask you all to join me to reflect on what we've learned today. So fascinating to delve deeper into Kardec's work, Kardec's intelligence and his rational thought. And I really feel today we've all joined together without ego, just with this desire to learn together, to explore, and to give it more meaning into our incarnate existence, and our multiple existences still to come. So we'd like to thank all the good spirits that have been with us all in our homes, helping us, enveloping us in this same cause, developing good virtues so that we can apply in our daily lives in the days that come. So again, we sincerely thank all those involved, both incarnate and discarnate, for making this such a productive session. And we ask you to be with us in the days to come. Thank you so much, and so be it.
So be it.
Right,
Have a
everyone.
great weekend, guys. Great Sunday.
Yeah, to everybody else. Okay, goodbye, everyone. Thank
you,
you.
guys.
Goodbye,
Thank you so
everyone. God
much.
bless
Bye-bye.
everyone.